Loneliness ended with a smile. That Thursday afternoon, Café Almazara seemed emptier than usual. The dark wooden tables gleamed under the dim light of copper lamps, and the aroma of cardamom mixed with Arabic coffee permeated the air with an almost tangible nostalgia. In the corner farthest from the entrance, next to the window overlooking the interior garden with its blue-tiled fountain, sat Sultan Rashid Al-Mansour. No one called him Sultan out loud, of course. That title had been relegated to history books and official documents that no one consulted anymore. But in the old neighborhood of the city, everyone knew who he was, the last direct descendant of a dynasty that had ruled those lands for centuries, a man who had watched the world change around him while he remained anchored in memories that hurt more with each passing year. Rashid was 72 years old, although his upright bearing and dark eyes still retained something of the authority he had inherited from his ancestors. His beard, completely white, was carefully trimmed, and he dressed as he always had, an ivory linen tunic and a vest embroidered with gold threads that had belonged to his father. On his ring finger gleamed the only ring he never removed, a gold band with an emerald that had been a wedding gift from Amira, his wife, who had passed away 5 years ago. 5 years. 1,825 days of silence in a house too large. 5 years of waking in an empty bed, of preparing coffee for one, of conversing with shadows that danced on the walls at dusk. Rashid's children lived far away. Kareem in London, dedicated to his financial businesses. Layla in New York, a comparative literature professor at a prestigious university. They called him every week, fulfilling their filial duty, but their voices sounded distant, busy, belonging to a world that spun too fast for a man like him. So every Thursday afternoon, Rashid walked the 6 blocks from his residence to Café Almazara. He always ordered the same thing, a Turkish coffee without sugar, and a plate of baklava that he barely touched. He sat at the same table, the one in the corner, and observed. He observed the young couples who laughed sharing secrets, the students who discussed philosophy and politics, the families who celebrated birthdays with cakes covered in candles. He observed the life that continued flowing around him, like a river that no longer included him in its current. That Thursday, however, something was about to change. Rashid had just taken his first sip of coffee when he saw her. She was a small girl. She couldn't be more than 8 or 9 years old. Her brown hair was pulled back in 2 messy braids, and she wore a navy blue sweater too large for her and jeans with a patch on the knee. She carried a pink school backpack with stickers of stars and unicorns, and on her face was an expression that Rashid recognized immediately. The expression of someone who feels completely alone in the middle of a crowd. The girl scanned the cafe with her gaze, searching for something or someone. Her eyes, a light hazel color, paused briefly at each occupied table before continuing her search. Finally, her gaze settled on Rashid, on his empty table with 3 free chairs, on his solitary figure by the window. For a moment that seemed eternal, their eyes met. Rashid saw in that childish gaze something that moved him deeply. It wasn't fear or shyness, but a kind of mutual recognition, as if 2 castaways had found each other in the middle of the ocean. The girl approached with small but determined steps. She stopped beside the table, adjusted the backpack on her shoulder, and with a soft but clear voice, asked in Spanish with a slight accent that Rashid couldn't identify, "May I sit here?" Rashid blinked, surprised. It had been months since anyone had spoken to him at the cafe, except for the waiter, who took his order with professional efficiency. He looked at the girl, then at the empty tables throughout the place, and finally back at those eyes that watched him with a mixture of hope and vulnerability. "Of course," he responded in Spanish, his voice hoarse from disuse. "Please, sit down." The girl let out a sigh of relief that seemed too deep for someone so young. She set her backpack on the floor, climbed onto the chair across from Rashid, and placed her small hands on the table, as if she needed to anchor her presence in that space. "Thank you," she said, and then added with a seriousness improper for her age, "I don't like being alone." Rashid felt something move in his chest, something that had been asleep for a long time. "Neither do I," he admitted, and in saying it out loud, he realized it was the first time in 5 years that he had acknowledged that truth to anyone else. The girl nodded, as if that confession were the most natural thing in the world. Then she looked at the plate of baklava that Rashid hadn't touched. "Is that sweet?" she asked with curiosity. "Very sweet," Rashid responded. "It's baklava. It's made with walnuts, honey, and phyllo dough. Would you like to try it?" The girl's eyes lit up, but immediately her expression became cautious. "I don't have any money," she confessed in a low voice, lowering her gaze. Rashid felt a pang in his heart. He pushed the plate toward her with a gentle gesture. "It's a gift," he said. "I've already eaten enough." It was a lie, of course. Rashid had barely eaten a bite in days, but seeing the way the girl's face lit up was worth any sacrifice. "Really?" she asked, still uncertain. "Really," Rashid confirmed, with a smile that surprised his own lips. It had been so long since he'd smiled. The girl took a piece of baklava carefully, as if it were a fragile treasure. She bit into it, and her eyes opened with delight. Honey remained at the corners of her lips, and she laughed, a crystalline laugh that resonated in Rashid's chest like a bell awakening something dormant. "It's delicious," she exclaimed. "It's the most delicious thing I've tasted in a long time." "I'm glad," said Rashid, and he was surprised to discover it was true. While the girl ate with evident pleasure, Rashid observed her with curiosity. There was something about her that didn't fit. Her clothes were simple but clean. Her backpack was new, but she was alone in a cafe in the middle of the afternoon, with no adult in sight. "What's your name?" Rashid asked gently. The girl swallowed the bite she had in her mouth and responded, "Luna. My name is Luna Martinez." "Luna," Rashid repeated, savoring the name. "It's a beautiful name. I'm Rashid." "Rashid?" Luna tilted her head. "It sounds different. Where are you from?" "From here," Rashid responded. "Well, my family has lived in this city for many generations, but my ancestors came from very far away, from lands where the desert meets the sea." Luna's eyes widened with interest. "Have you seen the desert?" "Many times," said Rashid, and without realizing it, he began to talk about things he hadn't shared with anyone in years. "When I was young, I used to travel with my father across the dunes." The desert is a magical place, Luna. During the day, the sun turns it into an ocean of gold, and at night, the stars shine so close you feel you could touch them with your hand. "I'd like to see that," Luna said longingly. "I've never left this city." "Never?" Rashid was surprised. "And your parents?" Luna's expression changed. The light in her eyes dimmed a little, and her shoulders hunched. "My mom works a lot," she said in a low voice. "She has 2 jobs. She leaves very early and comes back very late. That's why I come here after school. The cafe owner is my mom's friend and lets me stay until she finishes work." Rashid felt his heart compress. He looked around the cafe and noticed that the waiter, a middle-aged man named Omar, was watching their table with an expression of approval. Omar gave him a discreet nod, as if thanking him for keeping the girl company. "I understand," Rashid said softly. "It must be difficult for you." Luna shrugged with a maturity that someone her age shouldn't possess. Sometimes, she admitted, but Mom does what she can. She says she works so hard so I can have a better future. Your mother is a brave woman, Rashid said sincerely. She is, Luna smiled with pride. She's the strongest person I know. There was a moment of comfortable silence between them. Luna finished the last piece of baklava and wiped her hands on a napkin. Then she looked at Rashid with curiosity. Are you alone too? She asked with the brutal frankness of children. Rashid hesitated. He could have given an evasive answer, could have changed the subject, but there was something in Luna's honesty that demanded the same honesty in return. Yes, he finally responded. My wife passed away 5 years ago. My children live far away, so yes, I'm alone. Luna looked at him with an understanding that went beyond her years. I'm sorry, she said. It must be sad. It is, Rashid admitted, and he felt something loosen in his chest, as if a knot that had been tight for years was finally beginning to unravel. But today, in this moment, I don't feel so alone. Luna smiled, and it was as if the sun had come out from behind the clouds. Me neither, she said. From that moment on, something changed at Café Almazara. Every Thursday afternoon, Luna arrived with her pink backpack and her messy braids, and sat at the corner table where Rashid was already waiting for her. He always ordered 2 Turkish coffees now, one for him and a hot chocolate for Luna, and a generous plate of Arabic sweets to share. At first, they talked about simple things. Luna told him about school, about her math teacher, who was very strict but fair, about her best friend Sophia, who had moved to another city and whom she missed terribly. Rashid listened with an attention he had forgotten he possessed, asking questions, offering advice when asked, simply being present in a way he hadn't been for anyone in a long time. In return, Luna asked him questions about his life. She wanted to know everything, what it was like to live in a palace. Rashid explained that it wasn't really a palace anymore, but a large house with too many empty rooms. How it felt to be a sultan. Rashid told her the title didn't mean much in the modern world, but that it came with the responsibility of honoring his ancestors. What he had learned in his many years of life. What's the most important thing you've learned? Luna asked him one Thursday, while nibbling on a piece of halva. Rashid reflected on the question. He had learned so many things: politics, history, philosophy, the intricate protocols of diplomacy. But none of that seemed important now. I've learned, he finally said, that human connections are the only thing that truly matters. You can have wealth, power, titles, but if you don't have someone to share your life with, all of that means nothing. Luna nodded thoughtfully. Like you and me, she said. We're a human connection. Yes, Rashid smiled. Exactly like you and me. As the weeks passed, their friendship deepened. Rashid began to bring things for Luna, a book of Arabic tales with golden illustrations that had belonged to his daughter, a small wooden puzzle he had bought at a bazaar decades ago, a soft silk scarf for when winter came. Luna, for her part, brought him drawings she made at school, portraits of Rashid with his white beard and embroidered vest, drawings of the desert he had described to her, stars and moons that filled entire pages with color and life. One Thursday, Luna arrived with red and swollen eyes. She sat in her usual chair and stared at the table without saying anything. Rashid, alarmed, leaned forward. Luna, what's wrong? He asked gently. Luna swallowed, fighting back tears. It's my birthday, she said in a trembling voice. I'm turning 9 today. That's wonderful, Rashid exclaimed. But why are you sad? The tears finally overflowed down Luna's cheeks. because Mom had to work a double shift. She won't get home until very late. We won't be able to celebrate. There won't even be a cake." Rashid's heart broke. Without thinking twice, he got up from his chair. "Wait here," he told Luna. "Don't move." He left the cafe with an energy he hadn't felt in years. He walked quickly through the streets of the old neighborhood, entering shops he had known since his youth. At Mrs. Fatima's bakery, he bought a small pistachio cake covered with rose cream. At Mr. Hassan's toy store, he carefully chose a doll with an embroidered dress that reminded him of the ones his daughter Layla had loved as a child. At the bookstore, he found an illustrated edition of 1001 Nights that he knew Luna would adore. When he returned to the cafe, Luna was still sitting in the same position, wiping tears with the sleeve of her sweater. Rashid placed his purchases on the table with a triumphant smile. "No girl should spend her birthday without celebrating," he declared. Luna's eyes widened when she saw the cake, the gifts, the expression of genuine joy on Rashid's face. "You did all this for me?" she whispered. "Of course," said Rashid. "You're my friend, aren't you?" Luna nodded, unable to speak from emotion. Rashid called Omar, the waiter, who brought plates and forks. Other regular customers at the cafe, who had observed the friendship between the old man and the girl with growing affection, approached to sing "Happy Birthday." Luna blew out the single candle that Omar had placed on the cake, and when they asked her what she had wished for, she responded, "I wished for this moment to last forever." That night, when Luna's mother, a thin and tired woman named Carmen, arrived at the cafe to pick up her daughter, she found Luna radiant with happiness, hugging a doll and a book, with remnants of rose cream at the corners of her lips. "What is all this?" Carmen asked, confused. Rashid stood and introduced himself formally. "Mrs. Martinez, I'm Rashid Al-Mansour. Your daughter and I have become friends. I hope you don't mind that I celebrated her birthday with her." Carmen looked at Rashid, then at Luna, and her eyes filled with tears. "I don't mind at all," she said in a broken voice. "You don't know how much this means to me. I wanted to be with her today, but—" "I know," Rashid interrupted gently. "Luna told me. You're a wonderful mother, Mrs. Martinez. Your daughter adores you." Carmen wiped her tears and extended her hand to Rashid. "Thank you," she said simply. "Thank you for taking care of my girl." "The pleasure has been entirely mine," Rashid responded, and it was the purest truth he had spoken in years. From that day on, the relationship between Rashid and Luna became even more special. Carmen, grateful for the friendship that had blossomed between her daughter and the elderly gentleman, began to invite Rashid to dinner on Sundays at her small apartment. Rashid, in turn, invited Luna and Carmen to his house, where Luna explored the rooms filled with treasures from other eras, marveling at the Persian carpets, the ancient manuscripts, the black and white photographs of sultans and sultanas from past generations. "Was this your wife?" Luna asked one day, pointing to a framed photograph of a beautiful woman with dark eyes and a gentle smile. "Yes," Rashid responded, his voice full of tenderness. "That was Amira. She was very pretty," Luna said. "Do you miss her?" "Every day," Rashid admitted. "But you know, Luna, meeting you has helped me remember that life goes on. Amira wouldn't want me to spend the rest of my days alone and sad. She would want me to find joy again, and that's exactly what you've given me." Luna hugged him tightly, her small arms wrapping around Rashid's waist. "You've also given me joy," she said. "Before I met you, I felt alone all the time. Now I feel like I have a grandfather." Rashid felt tears stinging his eyes. He knelt to be at Luna's height and looked into her eyes. "It would be an honor to be like a grandfather to you," he said. If you'll allow me, of course." "Yes," Luna exclaimed. "Yes, yes, yes." The months passed and the friendship between Rashid and Luna transformed not only their lives, but also the lives of those around them. Café Almazara became a warmer, more welcoming place. Other lonely customers began to sit together, inspired by the connection they saw between the elderly sultan and the girl with the messy braids. Omar, the waiter, began to organize storytelling nights where Rashid narrated stories from the 1001 Nights, with Luna sitting at his feet, listening with shining eyes. Carmen, Luna's mother, began to work fewer hours, with Rashid's help, who discreetly offered her an interest-free loan so she could study and obtain better professional certification. She was able to find a better-paying job that allowed her to spend more time with her daughter. Rashid insisted it wasn't a loan, but an investment in Luna's future, and refused to accept any form of payment. Rashid's children, Kareem and Layla, noticed the change in their father. During their weekly calls, his voice sounded more animated, more alive. When he finally told them about Luna, both insisted on coming to visit him. It was an emotional reunion. Kareem and Layla met the girl who had returned joy to their father, and Luna met Rashid's children, who treated her with the affection of older siblings. "Thank you," Layla said to Luna in private. "Thank you for taking care of my father when we couldn't be here." Luna, with her childish wisdom, responded, "He took care of me too. That's how friendship works." 1 year after their first meeting, on a Thursday afternoon at Café Almazara, Rashid asked Luna an important question. "Luna, do you remember when we met? Do you remember what you asked me?" Luna thought for a moment and then smiled. "I asked if I could sit with you." "Exactly," said Rashid. "And today, I have a question for you. Would you allow me to officially be your honorary grandfather? I've spoken with your mother, and she agrees. It wouldn't change anything legally, of course, but it would mean that you're part of my family, and I'm part of yours." Luna didn't respond with words. She simply got up from her chair, walked around the table, and threw herself into Rashid's arms, hugging him with all the strength her small body could muster. "Yes," she finally said, her voice muffled against Rashid's embroidered vest. "Yes, Grandpa Rashid." That night, Café Almazara witnessed an impromptu celebration. Omar brought cake for everyone. The regular customers toasted with tea and coffee, and someone put on traditional Arabic music. Rashid, who hadn't danced since Amira's death, took Luna's hands and danced with her, spinning slowly while the girl laughed with delight. Carmen watched from the side, tears running freely down her cheeks. An elderly woman sitting next to her offered her a handkerchief. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" said the elderly woman, seeing how two lonely souls find each other and save one another. "Yes," Carmen responded. "It's the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life." The years that followed were the happiest Rashid had known since Amira's death. He watched Luna grow, helped her with her homework, attended her school recitals, consoled her when she had her first romantic disappointment in adolescence. Luna, for her part, took care of Rashid when his health began to decline, reading aloud to him when his eyes grew tired, accompanying him to his medical appointments, simply being present when he needed company. Café Almazara became their sacred place, the site where their friendship had been born. Even when Luna went to university, she always returned on Thursday afternoons to sit at that corner table with her honorary grandfather, sharing coffee and sweets and conversations that nourished their souls. When Rashid turned 80, Luna organized a surprise party at the cafe. Everyone was there, Kareem and Layla with their own families, Carmen with her new husband, a kind man whom Rashid had enthusiastically approved. All the cafe's regular customers, friends from a lifetime. But the most emotional moment came when Luna stood up to give a speech. 8 years ago, she began, her voice clear and strong. I was a lonely girl looking for a place to sit. This man, this sultan, with a generous heart, didn't just offer me a chair, but offered me his friendship, his wisdom, his love. He taught me that family isn't always blood, that loneliness can be cured with a smile, and that it's never too late to find joy. Grandpa Rashid, you changed my life. I hope I changed yours too. Rashid, with tears running down his wrinkled face, stood and hugged Luna. You changed it, my dear girl, he whispered. You changed it completely. That night, as the cafe emptied, and only Rashid and Luna remained sitting at their usual table, looking at the stars through the window, Rashid reflected on the miracle of their friendship. Do you know what's most extraordinary about all this? He said to Luna. What? She asked. That it all began with a simple question. May I sit here? 3 words that changed 2 lives. Luna smiled and took Rashid's wrinkled hand in hers. 4 words, actually, she corrected. May I sit here? That's 4 words. Rashid laughed. That sound he had recovered thanks to her. You're right, as always, 4 magical words. The most magical words I've ever said in my life, Luna said. They sat in comfortable silence, 2 souls who had found in each other exactly what they needed: companionship, understanding, unconditional love. Café Almazara closed its doors that night with the image of an elderly sultan and a young woman sitting together, connected by a bond that had begun with a simple question and had blossomed into something extraordinary. Loneliness had ended with a smile, and what had begun in its place was something much more beautiful. A chosen family, a love that transcended generations, a friendship that proved it's never too late to find light in the darkness. And every Thursday, without fail, they continued to meet at that corner table, sharing coffee and sweets and the certainty that, in a world that often feels cold and distant, there still exist connections that can melt even the loneliest heart. Because in the end, that's what truly matters, not the titles we carry, nor the riches we accumulate, nor the achievements we reach, but the people who choose us and whom we choose, the smiles we share, and the moments of genuine connection that remind us that we are never, never truly alone. Loneliness ended with a smile, and what began in its place was love.